Acknowledge me, the one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kick It to Scoops. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops. Owen who? Owen the Saints.
Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, how I want to be with St. Kilda. When the Saints go marching in.
Oh, when the Saints go marching in. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints beat Geelong. The Saints own Geelong. The last 4 victories at Marvel Stadium, 4 of the last 5 in general. And oh, how sweet it is beating Geelong. They are the most protected club in the competition. And to defy all the odds, you have Filippo out, you have Howard out, you have Taru out, you have Butler out, you have Sharman out, you have King out, and there's probably a few more that I'm forgetting. There's about 8 to 10 of them out. Liam Henry as well, Paddy Dow. It's just awesome to get the win. Sure, we had a great lead during the first half, 41 points. They came back a little bit. But through that all, we held tough, we stayed firm, and we got the chocolates. And what a great bloody victory it was. Oh, how proud I am of the Saints this week for having a great win against Geelong, the most protected club in the competition. That's not an insult. That's just a fact of life. Yeah. Now, also, that vlog is the first Scoops AFL Matchday vlog to check out. So please go and do so. If you haven't already, I would highly recommend you go and do so. It's a great vlog to watch. You see all my commentary, my reactions, everything like that. Celebrations post-game. So many great individual performances at the Saints. Jack Macrae, superstar. And Jack Macrae will be featured heavily on this podcast today in certain segments. You'll have to wait and find out. He was awesome. Jack Higgins was great. You know, so many players were great. Marcus Winhager did a great job on Max Holmes and did very well himself, 24 disposals and 2 goals. Mason Ward was great again. What a recruit he's been from North Melbourne 4 years ago or 3 years ago now. A delisted free agent, and he's been a superstar in the leadership group. Jack Sinclair's a superstar. Rowan Marshall, superstar. Best ruck in the competition by far. There is no one that is even close to being the best. There's other good ruckmen, but Rowan Marshall is the best and better than all the rest. See what I did there? But yeah, great victory. So pumped. One thing I'll say on Geelong quickly, if your sub, who plays a quarter and a half, is your best player, clearly shows you didn't deserve the victory at all. And that being Ted Closey was their best player, and he played a quarter and a half. So that probably shows more about Geelong's performance than it does St Kilda in a way. St Kilda completely ruined Geelong's momentum, and hopefully they lose again this week. Now, I've kind of been warming up, I feel, with Scoops Goes Bang this year. It's been decent so far. There's been some big moments, short, sharp. But this Scoops Goes Bang is only about one topic, but it's going to be so explosive that this I will be putting on Instagram, the Scoops Goes Bang, this week. So, you know it's a big one if I'm putting it on the Instagram. So, and Kane Cornes, you are in the firing line for your disgraceful comments towards Jack Macrae, and you had a chance to own up to it this week after we had another best on ground performance, and you laughed in supporters' faces when they said he was the best midfielder in the competition in the first 2 games, and he was. That guy was correct. You cut him off. I'll be playing that clip as well, and your disgraceful comments after round 1, where your own counterparts roasted you as well. They will be coming very imminently, so get ready for that. Obviously, going to go through my team of the week. My Supercoach talk did fantastic this week, high up in the rankings again. I'm going to review round 2 and preview round 3, and everything in between. So first off, I'll start off with this. You want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/Cooper G. Want me to roast a friend, wish him a happy birthday, anything at all, cameo.com/Cooper G. If you know any AFL, AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees, or any State League players, and you'd like to see them on the podcast in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Adam Treloar will miss another month with his calf injury. Elijah Sardis has a broken hand, unlikely to play this week. Tom Stewart has escaped long-term injury and potentially a chance to play this week. Bailey Smith, will he be back? We'll have to wait and find out. Geelong have been very tight-lipped with that answer. They said on Saturday night, Chris Scott, that he'd play. He was close to playing against us. So why wouldn't he play this week? This is just showing, again, clubs lying about injuries and not being transparent enough. Give us examples and show us that you mean it. Like if you said Bailey Smith has to pass this part of the test, and if he passes it, he'll be able to play, then great. And then if he doesn't play, we know he failed the test. So you're transparent, but they're not transparent, and neither are every other club, basically, when it comes to club injuries. Be honest, give a real time frame, and give detailed responses as to why they're not progressing. Like if players are, say, 4 weeks away and they balloon out to 6, 7, 8 weeks, like explain why. Max King was meant to be touch and go for round 1, and then now he's not going to play until round 4 or 5 as of right now, they say. So, like, transparency, bloody show it. All right, that was just a teaser and a bit of a warm-up to Scoops Goes Bang. So, without further ado, please welcome the world-famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Oh, Volcano Kane Cornes. You know full well, mate, I've been a big fan of your work throughout the time. You speak it how it is, and I've liked that about you. You speak how you feel, and you don't sugarcoat things. And lately, you say some good comments, but you say some horrendous comments as well, Kane. And this Jack Macrae one, I'm just not going to cop. No, not because I'm a Saints fan. No, because I'm not a big fan of Jack Macrae. But I just think the comments were pathetic, and his games, Jack Macrae backed it up. And your comments just got worse and worse the more great games Jack Macrae plays for the Saints. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've been living under a rock, here's Kane's comments after Jack Macrae got a best on ground level performance against the Crows, and then his comments today after Jack Macrae backed it up for another best on ground level performance. Here is Kane just last week after the Saints Crows clash. Here it is with David King on SEN.
I tell you who shouldn't be in there.
Who?
Is Jack Macrae. Now, people are going, oh, gee, he's had 34 and this many clearances. I couldn't care less. I'm not sure one of them did any damage.
Not sure one of them.
No, I'm actually, how many score involvements from 34 touches? 7 score involvements. I think it was 2 at half time.
Which was third ranked on the ground.
Yeah, but 2 at half time. And how many metres gained for 360 metres gained from 34 touches, 13 kicks. I think there was 2 that were effective.
Tried his heart out.
Oh, but if
just
you're talking about the players that you want in the midfield, it's not going to be Jack Macrae.
He had 12 clearances.
Yeah, I know that he had 12 clearances. There was 0 damage inflicted from those 34. Now, his numbers will look great every week, but that's not the strategy you want, is it? If you're going to be young, if you're going to tell us how young you are, to go and put him in the midfield and be the guy, he's like their
so
number
what do you
one
want him
midfielder.
To do? You're on selection this week.
This is what I want. This is what I want them to do.
This week.
I want them to drive the hardest standards out of any club. I don't want to hear Ross get up there and say, our players have 3 days off a week. We don't train. We have 16 hours at the club. Cuddly Ross, it's all good. We're young. No worries. We played in finals in 20. This is the language. I want to say this is not good enough.
So, Kane, first off, you're deflecting from what David King asked you and said, what do you want him to do? And you're just talking about Ross Lyon and his coaching and how young the group is. So, it's deflecting from there, number one. Number two, last time I checked, Jack Macrae had 34 disposals against the Crows, most on the ground. 23 contested possessions, which shows he was in and around the ball and doing the hard work. That was also the most contested possessions on the ground by far, about 8 better than anyone else. 12 clearances, well clear of anyone else with the most clearances on the ground in that game, and 7 score involvements, which was in the top 3, Kane, in that game. I don't understand how you can say he wasn't damaging. His meters gained weren't drastically high, but they don't need to be, Kane. His handballs to players in the contest got the ball out, cleared it, which involved a score involvement. He has a lot of damaging work. He's a part of the chain. He busts in, he tackles as well, and he just does the job each and every week. And, it was pretty insulting that you said that he's basically our best midfielder, disrespecting a multiple-time club best and fairest winner in Jack Steele, who finished in the top 5 in the Brownlow one year not too long ago and is still pretty consistent to this day. Steely is. And this Jack Macrae chat is just outright outrageous, Kane. If you thought that wasn't bad enough, today on SEN, on the show he's on with David King, he said this to a caller who just tried to talk about Jack Macrae's fantastic season so far.
I agree with a lot of the things that you say, mate, but your call on Macrae, why shouldn't you be held accountable to an absolutely absurd call that he shouldn't be a midfielder? He's been the best midfielder in the comp after 2 rounds.
Matt. If you want to talk about misinformation, you're telling me that Jack Macrae has been the best midfielder in the competition right now. I'm
telling you, he's been the best midfielder in
fantasy football? Is that what you're judging it off?
Because St Kilda's weakness has been its contested ball.
He's been the best midfielder in the competition after 2 rounds.
See, cutting the guy off when he's trying to prove facts. You keep asking him, Kane, to prove it and tell you why, yet you keep cutting him off. He didn't once mention fantasy stats in that clip that I just played. Now, there is a full version of this where he references fantasy stats or points. But he was trying to continue to add another layer to why he's the best midfielder in the competition so far this year. And you just kept cutting him off and just kept laughing about this fantasy points argument. But see, you cut him off, and I don't like that. And what I don't like also is that you had a chance, Kane, to say you made an error in your comments about Jack Macrae last week. And then this week, Jack Macrae went to an even higher level than last week, if that's even possible. He got 35 disposals against Geelong, was best on the ground. That's the most disposals on the ground, Kane. He had 8 marks, 10 tackles, also the most on the ground. 83% disposal efficiency, something that you say he needs to work on, yet he did really well. 16 contested possessions, one of the most on the ground as well. 10 score involvements, the most on the ground. A goal assist. 9 clearances. You bagged him last week for clearances, yet he had 12 the week prior and 9 again this week. 442 metres gained and 7 inside 50s. Now, I've got a graphic for you, Kane, to look at here, which shows what I just read out. So here is that. Let me just move the banner for a second. That's Jack Macrae's stats in the first 2 games. What more could you ask from Jack Macrae to do? Like 34 disposals and everything like that. That is just fantastic, Kane. It's just phenomenal from Jack Macrae. He's clearly been the best player for us. I feel like he's definitely been probably the best midfielder in the competition this year in the 2 rounds or 3 rounds, whatever. St Kilda's played 2. He's been best on ground in both. So, I mean, what more could you ask? I understand you don't like Jack Macrae, clearly, because you're crapping on him. You're laughing at people trying to defend Jack Macrae. David King, your own colleague, was trying to tell you in the first clip after the Adelaide game of why he was great, and you were just underselling his performance, just basically shitting on it. And I thought that was not on. But, another one, I want to compare it to your favourite player, Jason Horne-Francis, Kane. Round 1, 25 disposals, pretty solid, and a goal, but 68% efficiency and 5 turnovers against Collingwood. And they got smashed, but that shouldn't matter. But 68%, that's worse than Jack Macrae's efficiency. 5 turnovers. Jack Macrae didn't have 5 turnovers either. So, therefore, Jack Macrae was better. And then round 2, Horne-Francis played against Richmond, the worst team in the comp, according to a lot of people. 17 disposals and a goal. Now, I know he had 11 score involvements, blah, 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 but that doesn't matter. That is way worse than Jack Macrae, someone that you rate very highly and glaze a little bit, if I'm being brutally honest, Kane. But the argument remains, Jack Macrae has had a fantastic start for season 2025. You can argue, has he been the best? He's definitely in the top 3, and if you don't think that, then that just shows more hatred you have towards Jack Macrae for whatever reason. I don't know why. His stats back it up. 34 and 35 disposals, 23 contested possessions, 16 contested the week after, 12 clearances, 9 clearances the week after, 7 score involvements, 7 inside 50s, 10 score involvements the week after, goal assists. I don't know what else you can ask. And then 83% efficiency on the weekend. in a best on ground performance. I don't know what you have against Jack Macrae, but all we ask for, Kane, is for some respect, and put some respect on the name of Jack Macrae, a 3-time All-Australian, might I add. You know, Kane, I think your comments towards Jack Macrae are not on, and I think it's time you finally acknowledge that Jack Macrae is a very good midfielder and deserves more respect than what you're giving him. Kane, lift your game. Pathetic. Hope you guys and girls enjoyed that edition of that long discussion of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. You know what? Comment down below what you think, ladies and gentlemen. I just feel like Kane Cornes has absolutely disrespected Jack Macrae. It's not on. It's disrespectful. I've got the stats to back it up. Jack Macrae is a great player and deserves more recognition as well. He's definitely highly rated in my eyes. He was the inaugural Scoops medal winner in 2021. So he's in high regard in my eyes and should be in a lot of other people's eyes, and I know in a lot of Saints fans' eyes as well. All right. Oh. On top of that, Kane, not only was David King laughing at you, you had your own AFL colleagues, Josh Galblich and Kate McCarthy, laugh at you, and your SEN counterpart, John Donahue, also saying the same thing. So put some respect on the name of Jack Macrae. Right. Just simple, Kane. Just be good. Pathetic. All right. So now let's go into the heavily debated Scoops Team of the Week. So let's now go through my round 2 Scoops AFL Team of the Week. From the back line, the pockets, Kane Farrell and Caleb Daniel. Full back, Charlie Comden. Half back line, the flankers, Jack Sinclair and Jace Burgoyne. Centre half back, Josh Battle. Wingers, Connor Rosie and Nick Dacos. Centerman, Matt Crouch. Half forward line, the flankers, Ben Keys and Cade Chandler. Centre half forward, Mason Wood. Forward line, the pockets, Jack Higgins and Paul Curtis. Full forward, Sam Darcy. Ruckman, Rowan Marshall. Rovers, hope you're listening, Kane, Jack Macrae and Zach Merritt. Interchange, Josh Rochelle, Clayton Oliver, Jai Newcomb, Tom Powell, and Marcus Winhager. Emergencies, Mitch Georgiades, Ollie Wines, Jordan Dawson, and Josh Tracy. So, here's my Team of the Week. Reasons, I know you'll be all asking. Now, this was very hard this week for the forward line in particular. You know, some people say they may struggle with picking the midfielders this week, but I thought, like, the forwards was really, really hard. All the guys I had on the field are locks. Josh Rochelle is also a lock. Then you got guys like Georgiades and Tracy, and there's even some other guys who got 3 or 4 goals range that you could have considered that had great games. But I just found it almost virtually impossible to pick anyone else. Because then you got those midfielders on the bench. Winhager was fantastic. Kicked 2 goals with 24 disposals and did a number on Max Holmes. Tom Powell was one of North Melbourne's best players. Jai Newcomb was their best player. Clayton Oliver, despite their result, was clearly phenomenal for a goal in 36 possessions and so many clearances and tackles. Josh Rochelle kicked 4, so he had to be there. Any other week he's on the field. Rowan Marshall was the best ruck with 29 disposals. Jack Macrae, I mean, if you just listened before, but 35 disposals, 83% efficiency, 16 contested possessions, 10 tackles, 8 marks, 10 score involvements, 9 clearances, 442 metres gained, 7 inside 50s and a goal assist. Hope you're listening again, Kano. So that's a lock. Sam Darcy kicked 4, was the best key forward in the round for the key position players. Paul Curtis kicked 3 and 23 was awesome. Jack Higgins 4 and 16 was awesome. Ben Keys 4 goals, 2 and 23 was a lock. Mason Wood 2 goals, 1 Had a few he missed completely. 26 disposals. He was a lock and a key part to why the Saints won. Cade Chandler, 4 goals, 25 disposals, a lock. Dacos had 39 disposals and a goal, lock. Matt Crouch was dominant in the midfield in the 33 range and a lock. Connor Rosie, a goal or 2 and 39, lock. Jack Sinclair, a goal and 28, lock. Was a key part in the Saints line. His efficiency and his ball movement was fantastic. Josh Battle was the best defender on the ground for the round. 20-odd disposals, about 10 marks as well. Was really influential in their win over Carlton. And Charlie Curnow did absolutely nothing. Jace Burgoyne, 2 goals and 32, had to be in this week. Caleb Daniel was one of the best on the ground for the Roos. Charlie Cobden had like 9 marks. 5 of those contested, I think. He just had to be in there. Kane Farrell, a goal and 31 in the big win for the Power. So you can't debate any of these selections. The only one I could half listen to is Georgiades, but then he'd be competing with Rochelle, and I thought Rochelle was better than Georgiades. So everyone else I would not even consider taking out. Or you could argue Sam Darcy, I guess, but that probably wasn't going to happen. All right, so comment down below what your thoughts are on my team of the week. And just don't just say, oh, why is he in there? Say who and why. Don't just give me that, otherwise I'm not going to listen. Now, it's time to go through my Supercoach talk. Now, I'm not going to put my team on the screen, but in saying all that, I scored 2,060. I shot up in the rankings to the top 10%, which I'm really happy with. Now, I don't know how much goss I want to give you all, but just remember this piece of information. This week is very, very important because players are coming up to their 3rd game. So if there's players you're biting the bullet on, get them now. Do not wait. If there's rookies that you don't think are going well, get rid of them. But basically, if there's players you want to get, but to do that, you have to make the move of taking a player out or upgrading or doing a downgrade type move. Do it now. Cash in right now. That's all I'm going to say. Now, if you were to use your boost this week for those reasons, I would understand. Some people have Tom Stewart. He's a test, apparently. Bailey Smith is a test for this week. And Elijah Sardis won't play this week, but maybe back the week after. But apparently got a bye coming up, Essendon. So, just have to wait and see. I would be tossing and turning. But Elijah Sardis might be coming out of my team, as I don't want to keep waiting. If it's a potentially, I want a definitive answer, and I haven't got time to waste. Now, as of right now, in my Supercoach team, I've made one bold call. You'll find that out if it comes to fruition. If I end up keeping that move, if I'm going to have to undo everything, I will tell you that on next week's episode. Or anyone that keeps track of my Supercoach score can check that out during the games on the weekend. But yeah. Now, in my Supercoach Scoops Fan Club League, if you want to join that league, we've got 145 people in there right now as of this recording. 300, 210. Join the league. You're never too late to join. You can join at any point in time, and your overall score is where you go in the rankings. So congratulations to Shaynoa, who is in 1st place. And a loyal supporter of mine, Shannon, is in the bottom 20. Come on, Shannon, lift your game, mate. And Gavin, not going well. But here we are. So that's my Supercoach talk for this week. Let's now go review the round 2 game, shall we? What a round. What a round. It started on Thursday night, Carlton 60, Hawthorn 80. Harry Mackay was a laid out due to illness, so Charlie Curnow played and looked like he wasn't ready to play. Josh Battle gave him a bath. I won't say that Charlie Curnow didn't try, but he just looked injured. He wasn't competing as well as he clearly can. So why they pick him? That's on Carlton. But also, he should have said to Vossi, hey, I'm not good to go. I know Harry's out with illness, but I'm honestly not 100%. So who do you blame? Do you blame Curnow? Do you blame Voss for selecting him? It could go kind of both ways. Charlie should have said, look, I can't be in the team this week. I'm sorry. I don't feel confident in my ability, and he did not look confident at all. Paddy Cripps did really well, but they didn't have many contributors at all. Tom De Koning was pretty solid again in the ruck. Come to the Saints, mate. You've been welcome there with open arms. Go play alongside Max King, the 4-line. Jack Higgins, it'd be a great 4-line to be the 2-ruck duo of Rowan Marshall. Looks far better than where you are at right now at Carlton. Carlton fans, they just get carried away. They pump themselves up thinking they're better than they are, and they're just simply not. We beat you last year. You said, enjoy September. You got eliminated and embarrassed by Brisbane so much so that North Melbourne would have done a bloody better job than what you did in the final series. And as for their fan base, stop being disrespectful to your own players. I'm not going to talk about names. I'm just saying in general. Okay? Respect your club, whether they're winning or losing or doing however they're going. Do not just start, supporting them when they're winning. You support them through the high times and the low times. You don't go away when they're losing and come back when they're winning. They're fake fans. Okay? Carlton fans need to get a grip and show some respect to the players. Because I've seen plenty of people online that go for Carlton that have been very rude to their club, but are also glazing them at the same time. Respect them the whole way through the tough times and through the good times. Respect them the whole damn time. And respect your fan base online too. That's all I'll say. They were shit. They were absolutely shit. Were Hawthorn good or were Carlton shit? I think Carlton was shit. Hawthorn, they did well. Josh Battle was awesome. Carl Amon, D'Ambrosio, fantastic. What great wingers they are for Hawthorn, D'Ambrosio and Carl Amon. Sicily's having the freedom now with Barras and Battle. Now, Tom Barras is Barras, not Barras, as a lot of people have been calling him for so long. It's Barras, not Tom Barras. It's Barras. Tom Barras was awesome. It's going to be hard for me to keep calling him Barras. I blame everyone else for calling him Barras for so long. Tom Barras and Josh Battle were awesome, which frees up Sicily to play pinch hit up forward when they need him. Hawthorn small forwards did their job on the weekend for most part. Connor McDonald went off with an injury. I think he might play this week apparently, so that's good for Hawthorn. If not, it might miss only a week. But yeah, they played all right, but I think it was more Carlton was shit. And by the way, Carlton fans, I don't want to hear it's because Harry Mackay was out and because Charlie Curnow was playing injured. He shouldn't have played number one. And number two, it was the midfield and backline which let you down. So this Mackay was missing. Yeah, but it was your midfield and backline that was crap, not your forwards. So yeah, Jack Silvani played better in the forward line late last week and this week. So here we are. Maybe persist with him up forward like he should have been in the first place. Right, the next game we're going to talk about is the Bulldogs' 100th anniversary game. Western Bulldogs 70, defeated by the Pies 76. Now, people were calling this a robbery due to the umpires. Again, like I said on my post, Collingwood, sure, they got a huge free kick differential, but nowhere in the rule book does it say it has to be even. I understand that is a drastic amount different, and sure, I would be pissed off too, and I understand why people are pissed off. But to say it cost the Western Bulldogs the game and that Collingwood only won due to the umpires is ridiculous. Now, Dacos smartly was fumbling the ball over the boundary line. If they had paid it, I would have been like, okay, I could see he was pretending, but he disguised it well. So I understand that. That's not deliberate. He was trying to do it, but technically, according to the rules, he was attempting to keep it in and was fumbling it, okay? Now, the Bailey Dale one, yeah, maybe, but that's one call. Sure was in a big moment in the game, but like the carry on for people saying that Collingwood didn't deserve the win, they were the better team easily, okay? By about 3 or 4 goal team better. They just won. Bulldogs got some free ride in the first quarter with the umpiring and resulted in some goals. I believe their first goal of the game was from a free kick that shouldn't have been there. So, you know what I mean? It's just laughable that people are blaming the umpires for why the Bulldogs lost. How about the Bulldogs actually do well and they will win? Simple as that. And by the way, I should have mentioned this in Scoops S5, but Kane Cornes in his ridiculous comments to a former Bulldog in Jack Macrae, I didn't mention it. So please welcome back another edition of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Now, I understand that Luke Beveridge and Chris Grant don't get along. Chris Grant departed the club from his role last year. But what I will say on this, because I don't want to say too much, is that the Bulldogs, aka Luke Beveridge, I can't even speak. I'm so mad about this situation. Like, Chris Grant is a Western Bulldogs legend. His daughter, Izzy Grant, who plays for the Western Bulldogs AFW side, is a great person. I've met her as well. But they had the big celebration, and to be honest, it was great. You had Bob Murphy sitting on a chair reading the book. I don't know if the everything he was saying was from the book. I assume it was. And you had people stationed there. You had Brad Johnson. You had Tony Liberatore. You had all these people. Sam Darcy. Sam Darcy. Luke Darcy, I mean. Far out. Luke Darcy had everyone out like that. And some other people. But where was Chris Grant in this? Now, some people are telling me, I don't know if this is definitively true, that apparently he may have declined the invite. I wonder why. Him and Beveridge don't get along well. Beveridge doesn't want him there. I mean, all I will say on this is that if Luke Beveridge gets sacked, I guarantee you will see Chris Grant around the Bulldogs functions and everything like that far much more. Everything I've heard about Chris Grant, he's a great guy. His daughter, Izzy Grant, as I said just before, is a great person as well. So obviously they are a good group of people. I have nothing against them at all. They're fantastic people. Luke Beveridge has been known, if he doesn't like someone, he doesn't like them. Look at Damien Barrett, Tom Morris, and now Chris Grant, and I'm sure there's probably others. Yeah, that's not to say that a lot of people don't like Luke Beveridge. I'm sure there is plenty of people that do. But I just think that he's having too much power. He's a coach. Yeah. I think Chris Grant's a great bloke, and I think he should be treated a lot more respectfully. He should have been at these events and other events they've had in the past year that he wasn't invited to or didn't get full recognition at when he should have. That's all I'll say. I don't want to say too much, but, you know, I think he deserved a lot more respect than what he's gotten. So there you go. Now, where are we? So, yeah, the game. We'll move on to the next game because I've just talked about that game. Dacos was great. Houston was really good as well. The Saturday games, Essendon 100, high-scoring affair. Adelaide 161. The Crows by 61 points. This is their first clash between each other at the MCG in like 20, 30 years, which is just unheard of. Now, I understand Essendon played some home games at Marvel because I was going to say they can't go 20, 30 years without playing a bloody game in the MCG and have Adelaide have 20 home games. It just doesn't make sense. Even if they were playing each other once for 10 years straight, they can't all be at the Adelaide Oval or Amy Park before that, if whatever it was called. Amy Stadium, not Amy Park. Amy Stadium. But yeah, the Crows. Ben Keith was awesome. Thilthorpe, Fogarty, Saligo, Dawson. The whole team was really good. Riley O'Brien in the ruck was really good. For the Bombers, I thought Elijah Sardis was really good. Zach Merritt. Ben Mackay, what do you do with him? I think Essendon need to make a statement. I know they've got no key position players already. He needs to be dropped, Ben Mackay. Just doesn't look interested. He's not worth the money. He needs to be dropped. Simple as that. Make him play VFL for a couple of weeks and then make him earn his spot back. Zach Reid got thrown around by Fogarty. He needs to get stronger in the contest because he gets pushed off too easily. I understand Darcy Fogarty is a really good, strong contested player and marker, but it was so easy for him. It was just taking the piss how good he was. And Thilthorpe the same. You know, Zachary did some good things, but like in terms of the strength, he needs to work on that. Definitely, he's just getting pushed off far too easily. But yeah, Essendon were woeful, and Adelaide were phenomenal. But do not get carried away, ladies and gentlemen, with Adelaide's performances. They played the Saints when they got injuries, and Essendon when they've got a few injuries, and Essendon are just crap. So a bottom 4 team. So, and Adelaide got North this week. I don't care how North went. Adelaide, I got another easy game. Then they got Gold Coast in Gold Coast, and that is not that hard either. And they got the Geelong and Giants after that. After Geelong performed against Kilda, is that even that hard? And the Giants, we'll see what they are like in 3 weeks' time, or so whenever they play them. So we'll wait and see. The next game is Port Adelaide and Richmond, 140. Richmond, 68. You know, Georgiades, congratulations to Travis Boak on the milestone he received. I think it's the most games ever played for a Port Adelaide player. Well done to Travis Boak. Farrell and Burgoyne and Georgiades were really good. How Joe Richards got coaches' votes is just astonishing. How Zach Merritt did not even get in the top 3 for the votes in the Essendon Adelaide game is ridiculous. Shows the coaches aren't doing it properly. But coaches' votes, I could rant about them every week. They're just that bad. Go look at them all if you want to. I think there's maybe one game where they were serviceable. And I tell you right now, it wasn't this game at all. The Port game was bad. The Saints one was okay. There's a few players that should have been in there. But yeah. Port Adelaide were very good, but it's Richmond. Jack Macrae has hurt his knee. It'll be out for the long term, they say. So that's not great news for the Power and Jack Macrae, their key recruit. Hopefully they can combat without him in the time frame he is out. But great win for the Power. But again, it was Richmond after all. I knew this talk about Richmond, as young as their team is, that everyone was pumping them up, going, and don't get me wrong, great win for Richmond. I'm happy for them because they've won a game already out of 2 games. But the carry on from supporters of Richmond maybe and just the general public, like, oh my God, they beat Carlton. Now I can see Richmond winning 6, 8, 10 games. They might even make the 8. Like, I saw that and laughed. And now I think this is the same trend people are going with North Melbourne, saying the same damn thing. And you watch them get smashed by Adelaide this week. It's the same thing. Cool your jets. It's one bloody game. You don't go from thinking bottom 2, wooden spoon, to winning 2 games max, to bloody making the 8 off one bloody game. And that's how I feel like they were with this North Melbourne game, which we'll get to shortly. Oh, when the Saints beat Geelong again. Oh, when the Saints beat Geelong again. Oh, how I want to see that every week. Oh, when the Saints go smashing Geelong again. Woo! Oh, how good was that? Far out. What a great win. 98-91. Sure, we're up by 41 at halftime, basically. And Geelong came back. Malira with a great spoil on the goal line on Brad Close, or whoever that player was for Geelong that thought they got the goal, which would have brought it back to 2 or 3 points with 3 minutes to go. And I was getting pretty nervous, if you ask me, at the very end. But Jack Macrae, the elite player, Jack Macrae is bloody awesome. Marcus Winhager did a great job on Max Holmes. 2 goals, 24 disposals. BOG level performance from him. Mason Wood, he was also phenomenal. He 2 goals, 26 disposals, missed 2 shots completely, 2 goals, 1. So he had 5 scoring shots, or 5 shots a goal. Got 2 goals, 1, and 26 disposals, like 8 marks. He was awesome. Zach Jones, 27 disposals. He's got a lot of haters, Zach Jones. And I just want to say what a great performance again from Zach Jones. He did it against Sydney and Brisbane at the back end of last year, and he's done it against Geelong this week. So Zach Jones delivers against the big teams, showing why St Kilda picked him up 4 or 5 years ago from the Swans. He's been a pretty serviceable player since we picked him up, in particular since the back end of last year, being fucking great. Apologies for swearing there, but I just hate the people that bag Zach Jones. I cannot tolerate it. It is just ridiculous. Zach Jones, you got a fan here. Keep up the good work, mate. Jack Higgins was awesome, 4 goals as well. Lance Collard kicked 2 goals, which is really good. That's his first 2 goals in his career. Isaac Keeler kicked his first goal in AFL footy. great moment, which I put on my Instagram reel. Go check out the Scoops vlog for that game if you haven't already in full. Jack Sinclair was awesome. Anthony Caminiti down back did really well. Rowan Marshall was awesome in the ruck, 29 disposals, like 43 hitouts. Superstar Rowan Marshall is. But yeah, you couldn't say really anyone did bad. Hunter Clark in game 100 played his part. I thought he did really well until he hurt his groin and didn't play the whole last quarter. He's unlikely to play this week. And Liam Stocker was unfortunately concussed. So both won't play this week. I would see potentially Liam Henry coming back in. Played a game on the VFL on the weekend. Mainly played up forward. Might need another game there, though, to be honest. But Hugh Boxshall is someone that probably should come in, especially if Liam Henry does not come in. But I'll have to wait and see. And Rowan Marshall did really well in the ruck on his own. Hopefully Butler and Sharman are back this week too. King should be the week after. So we'll wait and see. That will probably impact whether Boxshall or Henry come in as well, depending on King and Sharman. The Sharmanator. Be good to have him back. So not King, Sharman and Butler. And Colo may just go back out because Butler's back in and we won. But yeah, great win. As I said earlier, Ted Closey was Geelong's best player and he was the bloody sub. So shows how good he was and how bad the rest of the team was. Paddy Dangerfield, no impact in the first half. Max Holmes, no impact at all. Yeah, Paddy Dangerfield should retire because he's finished. Simple as that. Right, next game are the Sunday games to go through. Brisbane 94, West Coast 75. Brisbane by 19 points. You thought, oh yeah, Brisbane did okay, I guess. No, West Coast were freaking awesome for 3 quarters. Had the lead at 3-quarter time. We're leading the whole game. Oh, there was like a minute gap where Brisbane got in front late in the game in the 3rd quarter, and Petruccelli hit a great goal from the boundary, might I add. That was a great goal from Petruccelli. And Rankin and a few other Adelaide players get some great goals from the boundary. I think it was Fogarty as well, or Phil Thorpe, someone like that. But they were great goals too. The 2 Crows players that did that from the boundary line. But yeah, I think, West Coast are really good. Tyrell Dewar, 2 goals, 20-odd disposals, was awesome. The youngster, a fringe-type player, but hey, give him credit, was awesome. Tim Kelly probably played his best game for a long time, 28-odd disposals against the Brisbane Lions midfield with Neil and Dunkley, McCluggage and Co in there, the Ashroff brothers. Bloody good effort from Tim Kelly. He earned his paycheck this week. I know it might sound harsh, but a lot of people have been critical of his performances and effort, but he bloody showed the effort, so I thought I would give him credit for that. But yeah, I thought Tyler Brockman kicked some nice goals to the Eagles, and another player like Tyrell Dewar on the fringe, probably surprising he got a game, but he earned his spot this week, and he put in the effort, and he got the results his ways. That's great for him. Bailey Williams, Matthew Flynn, Archer Reid, their ruck duo is just, I'm sorry, a trio is just not going to work. Matt Flynn's a fringe player. Bailey Williams is their best option, but they're dropping him for Matt Flynn and Archer Reid. You had Ruben Jimmy go on the ruck. That is their problem. They lost Barris, so Harry Edwards is playing down there at the moment. I don't know if that's the right call to be the number 2 defender. McGovern's not being able to play as a free defender as much anymore. He's having to be the number 1 guy. When Barris was there, he was able to be free and move up the ground and still play freaking awesome now as McGovern, like he did last year. That's why he was all Australian. But yeah, I feel like they need more support down there. Jack Graham was laid out. That doesn't help. Harley Reid had his moments, but he's just in bad form. People are saying he's going to Essendon. He's checked out. Well, we'll wait and see. I wouldn't say Essendon at all. He will end up leaving. I guarantee that. I've been saying that since he got drafted. But no one seems to listen. But here we are. But yeah, credit to the Eagles for their performance, despite Brisbane winning. Calamar got a knock at the end of the game. Hopefully he's all good for Brisbane. Sam Day played his part in the forward line for Brisbane. Showed some support for Eric Hipwood. But yeah, I thought, it might sound like I'm talking up West Coast like they won. But in my eyes, they won in a way because they leveled it with the Premiers for the whole game and were beating them for 3 quarters. So credit to West Coast. They had some chances in the last quarter and they just couldn't capitalise, and it didn't go their way. But, it is what it is. North Melbourne and Melbourne, wow, what the hell happened there? 125 to 66. North Melbourne by 59 points. It was 18 points or so at 3/4 time. So for people saying that Melbourne were never in it, are wrong. They were in it. They probably weren't going to win, but they were a mathematical and realistic chance. And plus, it's North Melbourne, right? But then North went boom, boom, boom in the last quarter, 9-1. Like, what the hell, Melbourne? That was one of the worst individual quarters I've seen all year, and there's been plenty of them. There was a team called Freo give up 10 goals to Geelong in round 1. There's been some big quarters like this. Probably 3 or 4 like this season already in 2 to 3 rounds, technically, if you count opening round, if you want to. Scrap opening round, by the way. Andrew Dillon. And by the way, Caro roasted Andrew Dillon on 3AW in regards to the Ken Inkley fine and the Craig Macrae nothing fine. But I thought it was worth nothing, Craig's comments recently. But yeah. Yeah, credits to North Melbourne, but don't get carried away. You'll do what Richmond did this week. Just use it carrying on now. Enjoy the moment. But you're going to lose and get smashed by Adelaide this week, so you'll be sent straight back to reality. And people going, oh, I thought they were going to win 8 games. Nah. Bullshit. Not happening. Not happening at all. Now, the final night. Fuck, now I can't speak today. The final game to go through is Freo in Sydney. Close win. Joel Amati, the Amati party at the end of the game. He got the goal and did the job for the Swans. 65 Freo, 68 Swans. Both had opportunities late and couldn't capitalise. That is after the Amati goal. O'Driscoll went inside 50 and they just didn't get anything from it. Sydney went inside 50 before the Amati goal and after it, and they couldn't put them away. So there was opportunities everywhere. I thought Nathan O'Driscoll was probably Freo's best player. For Sydney, I thought Chad Warner was their best player, but there wasn't really any standout performances for me in this game. Probably showed that the game wasn't that great. But Sydney got the win. They've been in 3 close games this year, Sydney, and they finally won 1. They're 1-2 instead of being 0-3, because that would have been a disaster for the Swans, who made the grand final last year. And Freo are 0-2. Now let's preview the round 3 games to wrap us up. My tips and predictions. All right, so first game will be on Thursday night at Marvel Stadium, 7:30 Victorian time. All these times I say will be Victorian time. 7:30 p.m. Thursday night at Marvel Stadium is Essendon hosting Port Adelaide. I'll go Port Adelaide in this one by 28 points. Friday night at Marvel Stadium, it is Carlton hosting the Western Bulldogs, 7:40. I'm going to go Carlton in this one by 5 points. Saturday, 1:20 at the MCG. It's Melbourne hosting Gold Coast. I'm going to go Gold Coast just in this one by 2 points. Saturday, 4:15 at Marvel Stadium. It's my Saints hosting Richmond. I'll be going the Saints by 37 points. Saturday night at the Gabba, 7:35 p.m. Victorian time at the Gabba. Brisbane hosting Geelong. I'll be going the Brisbane Lions in this one by 12 points. And also Saturday night in Tassie at the University of Tasmania Stadium in Launceston. It is Hawthorn hosting GWS. I'm going to go the Giants in this one by 5 points. Sunday, just 2 games. Adelaide hosting North Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval, 3:20 p.m. Victorian time. Crows by 48 points. And the final game, the Derby, the Western Derby at Optus Stadium, 6:10 Victorian time. West Coast hosting Freo. I'm going to go Freo in this one by 8 points. But if West Coast can do what they did to Brisbane, they can absolutely beat Fremantle when they're probably at their lowest right now. But I'm going to go Freo just by 1 point. Thank you all for watching this episode of Kick It to Scoops. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the bell for all notifications. If you know any AFL, AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees, or any state league players, and you would like to see them on my podcast in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Until the next video, big week planned. Hopefully some more content throughout the week for you, not just with this podcast. Thank you all, and go Saints, and acknowledge me, the one. Yeet. And all aboard the Saints train, then, now, forever, together. Yeet, acknowledge me, the one.